Hello, everybody. I hope that you are all well and all filtering into the room as normal. I was hoping to share a little intro video today, but the powers that be, the technology was stopping me from sharing that. But all in good time, and we'll get that sorted in due course. A couple of things that we want to cover today, guys. Hey, Dana, how's it going? Thank you very much for popping into the chat box there so quickly. That's great. That means that everybody can see me and hear me, which is superb. Everybody else, do join in the fun and get into the chat box. But the two things that we want to cover today, obviously, is it's Friday, and we want to make sure that everybody is up to date on how they are uploading their files. And another thing that we see from the accountability end of things was this idea of when to reorder. Okay, so the big topic of training today is when to reorder. And just let me know inside the chat box, guys, are you familiar with kind of like when and what to reorder? Or is this very much a pertinent bit of training that we can go through, educate people? So if you're well versed on it, just give me a one inside the chat box. If you are needing some assistance and some training or a refresher, give me a two inside the chat box in terms of when we should be looking at reordering, how we calculate out all the different things, and as well as developments have uh, been happening over the last number of months very quickly, which is absolutely great. A couple of things have changed, right? And they changed for the better from your side, which is absolutely fantastic. And just while we're in the mood of typing into chat boxes and different things, um, did anybody here happen to join Ali and Stephen on the all one call? Give me an A inside the chat box if you did join them on the all one call. Now, really, the all one call was sent out ahead of next week's 14th of January, where they're going to be presented to absolutely everybody. However, time was of the essence for a number of people because they had products either on order, which was a new product, or they had a reorder in process. So time is of the essence for them. So Ali and Stephen decided to do an impromptu session to sort of take that urgency, I guess, or bring that urgency forward for those people and get them some benefits. So that's great. I see Patrick was on the call. I see Dana was on the call, and for both of those people, I kind of know what the answer is here, but I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask anyway. What did you think of the two guys' new service, the new way that they're presenting to do things? I know that they've been working at this extremely hard over the last 6 to 9 months, very very intensively, and probably a lot longer than that in the in the grand scheme of things. It's probably been about 20 years in the making, if I'm truly honest about how long it's been, because that's how long these things take to gestate and get right. As Dana says, all signed up, fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And Patrick says game changing. I like both of those comments. And Patrick also adds making more products viable one step at a time. So there is definitely a viability point to it. There is a point on the war on expenses. There's that point to it. There's an inventory management point to it, which is what we're going to kind of cover today whenever we talk about reordering. And there's a number of other points as well. So 14th of January. If you guys haven't got the details of that call, do excuse me, do let us know. Either email us or put a post inside Circle just asking about the 14th of January call. Everybody should have an email about it, and the guys will be running through it again. They're well versed. They've got all their stream rustiness off, but I thought they did a fantastic stream the other night and really presented the whole process very, very well. So a big kudos and a hats off to Ali and to Stephen the other night. I thought it was a great stream. So if we just cover off File Day quickly in terms of what we're doing. So every single person here, I'm sure, has got their files and their folders. Okay, you know what I'm going to go through here again. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just making sure that everybody's on board. Give me inside the chat box an F if you have your files and your folders. Right? You are, as I said, you're very well versed at doing this right now. I just got to go down through each and every point. So a big F inside the chat box if you have your files and your folders. If you don't have your files and your folders, give me an NF, right? NF for no files and folders, and I'll make sure to get somebody onto it. It'll be inside the chat log here then, okay? And what we're doing whenever we have our files and folders, we're going up into Amazon. Okay, no problems, Dana. I'll make sure and get on that for you. What we're doing then inside Amazon is we're going and we're getting 3 files, right? Every single 2 weeks, every single Friday. We're getting our S&T data. Okay, we're downloading it and we're uploading it into the drop file folder inside your files and folders. We're getting your PPC data. We're doing exactly the same, downloading it, renaming it, uploading it, and you're getting your disbursement data. Okay, so in terms of the drop files, right, for everybody that has got files and folders, do you understand what you're doing there? If you do, give me a D inside the chat box. If you don't know what you're doing there, give me a ND, no to do drop files, right? So if you don't know that, and I'm going to assume that Dana, if you don't know where your files are, which Mickey has excellently put in there, that your folders have been built. What we can do, Dana, is we'll just get you a list. We have this all typed up, so we'll be able to get that across to you and start to get these folders. So it looks like everybody knows what they're doing in terms of their drop files. So like I said, make sure to get those done. We are putting more and more resources into the reporting, which is very, very important, so that we can keep up with you guys as well and make sure that they're getting done on time. You're getting to see the data, which is then going to take us on to the next step. Okay. And yes, terms 2024. Now you can find those. Right? You can find them. They are inside one of your files, but we will get a QRG done out on that so that it's nice and simple for everybody to see. Thanks for the reminder there, Ricardo. That was definitely something on the list that's been dropped, so to speak. I'll take that on. That's my responsibility. And we start to go then through into the next stages, right, of what we're looking at in terms of the reporting. And one of the things that we really want to be looking at is this idea of when we should be reordering and what we should be reordering as well. So really, everybody, I'm sure, has heard of the term lead time, right? Lead time. Now, what lead time really means, for anybody who doesn't know, is what is the time in days, I guess, right, to start off with, between you placing an order, right, and getting it to arrive on the shelf on Amazon. Okay, so from the minute that you place the order, how long in days does it take to get that product to be in a position where it can be purchased by a customer? Okay, so that is the minute you decide the order, right until it hits the shelf on Amazon, because anywhere in between, it cannot be purchased. Okay, and it's always very important that the minute or the day that you make the decision to place the order, generally speaking, is not the day that the production starts. Okay, because you will have made a decision. You will then be contacting us. Let's say if your product is going through that way, then PIs have got to be raised, right? Orders have got to be raised. Payments have got to be done. Then those payments have got to be sent. Then the production line starts. Okay, so there's always a little bit of a buffer in there that people kind of forget about. And that buffer, generally about 5 to 7 days. Sounds like quite a lot, but whenever you think about it, you'll make a decision to go and check on different things. That could take you a day to run your numbers and then actually place an order. Then getting that order placed, getting some invoices back, making payments. Those are like 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, and then sending it, getting that. And it can be, 5 to 7 days is pretty normal. And then what we would have inside that lead time area, and I'll go traditional to start with. Okay, I'll go traditional. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to also change that blurring screen, because it's really irritating me. And every time I kind of move, I'm getting like blares and different things there. So then, as I say, we're going to go traditional. So we would move into the production of products. Like production on the majority of products takes about 30 days. Now, don't shoot me if your product maybe takes 21 days or 35 or 45 or even sometimes 60 in terms of production. It really does depend on the product. But 70 to 80% of products take about 30 days to produce. Okay. Then you've got that's kind of like the easy bit traditionally, because then what you have traditionally done is you have then started to engage with a freight forwarder or some sort of third party logistics company to do your shipping for you. Okay. Now, the shipping element, which if we go and we Google these things, and this is where a lot of those timelines have broken down to start with in the past. If you go and you Google how long does it take for goods to go from China to the US, right? The US is a big place, okay? It has a west coast, it has an east coast. So if you're shipping goods from China to New York, or you're shipping goods from China to LA, those are going to be two different time periods. Of that, there's no doubt, okay? But also, that timing is going to be when the boat actually sets sail and when the boat actually arrives in the port. Okay? It doesn't take into consideration any of the other things that could go on. So, for example, when it arrives in the country, it is going to have to go through customs. Okay, that can take a little bit of time. Then it has to be transported to another area. That can take a little bit of time. In the country of origin, China in our case, it also has to go through customs, export customs, okay? And it has to be loaded and it has to reach a vessel and that vessel has to be booked, okay? And then you're kind of at the behest of your freight forwarder as to have they booked that shipment? Have they booked it on that container, on that boat, okay? And we've seen different things in the past, all right? So lead times we have seen over the last certainly 2022, 2021, 2020, and even creeping into 2023 with a number of freight forwarders. We have seen lead times anywhere from 150 days right up to 250 days. Okay, which all things being equal is unacceptable. Okay, that's an unacceptable transit time. It's an unacceptable lead time. And if you consider what you've got to plan in order for that to work, that is a big outlay, especially a big outlay on funds, okay? Because it's not the time, right? It's actually not the time. I know that a lot of people will think it's the time, but it's not. It's really not. Because if it was just the time, you could plan for that. You could easily plan for that. But instead of having, let's say, 4 to 5 months stock, you've now got a plan for 12 months stock or more, right? And if something misses, you could miss your season. We've seen that happen to people in the past. Thankfully, this is now all changing, okay? And you will see whenever you get on with Ali and Stephen inside the All One presentation, you will start to see this changing, and you will start to see your lead times coming down. They will now not be 3 figures of days, right? The days of 100+ lead times are over, right? They are over, which is absolutely fantastic news for everybody involved in private label, me included, right? Me included, because this is what I've been waiting for. Okay, this is what I've been wanting for a long, long time for our own private label businesses. Okay, which is fantastic. Okay, and I know that there's a lot of people kind of cheering right now in terms of this is going to change everything, because we don't have to invest as much in terms of stock as we go forward with products, because we do not need to have 12 months stock to make sure that we don't run out. All right, and you're gonna see that. So if we're looking at a lead time, now obviously the lead times per country are different. Okay, they're different because I'll put you to the test. Right? Do you think the lead time is smaller or less to get your products to shelf in Australia than it is to get to your products on the shelf in the United Kingdom? Okay, inside the chat box. Longer or shorter, right? Is Australia longer or shorter to get your products onto a shelf than the United Kingdom? Right? And I want everybody answering this, right? So Joanne says it's less time, right? Or shorter lead time. Patrick says shorter. Dana says longer, okay? Anybody else? Sue says shorter for Australia, okay? So is it shorter or longer for Australia? Well, it's shorter, right? It's shorter. And lead time, yes, it includes shipping, right? Lead time is from the minute that you place the order until it gets onto the shelf, right? The entire period of time, right? And that encompasses buffers. It encompasses the time it takes to make payments, the time that it takes to produce the product. It's the imports, the exports, the duty time, the customs time, the transport time, the shipping time, all of those things combined is your lead time. Right? And yes, it's shorter because it's quicker to get goods to Australia, right? Because the shipping time on the sea is less. That's it, right? Because it's closer, right? It's closer to China than the UK is to China. Really, really simple. So therefore, it's good. There are going to be differences per country, right? So the countries that are going to take slightly longer are going to take a little bit more stock for you to have in stock, or a little bit more planning. But it's not ridiculous, right? So even the United Kingdom, right, does not take 100 days to get into stock. That's great, right? Not even Brazil takes 100 days to get into stock, or Saudi Arabia, right? Or Singapore, right? Because Singapore is closer to China than the UK is. Right? Japan, for example, very close to China. Okay, therefore very quick, probably the quickest to get into stock, or have the shortest lead time. Okay, guys, give me a 1 inside the chat box if that makes sense, right? And I'm going to take it that the 1 inside the chat box means that you're very happy about these shorter lead times, because they're going to benefit you, they're going to benefit your business, they're actually going to benefit your bank account, right? So, as Dana says, yeah, Australia is a long way away from you in your country, in Canada, Dana, but that's not where the goods are coming from. All right, I I remember a great story whenever we had a real downpour of bad weather here in Northern Ireland, and it was really snowing, very icy, and we were sending out our goods at this time via our couriers and different things like that. And I remember a customer emailed us and said, "Where is my product? It's been like 3 days. Where is my product?" And we said, "Well, the weather's been very bad in the UK. It was UK wide. The weather's been very bad, and there's been delays for couriers." And his response was priceless. He said, "Well, my street is fine." He said, "My street is fine." And I was like, right, this guy does not get the concept of distribution and couriers, but hey ho. But yeah, it's from that part of the origin to where we are, to where we're sending it to. So that's great, right? And the reason why I've also named those countries, right? These are not countries that we've talked about before, okay? I've never really talked about Japan in my near 10,000 days of selling online. Yes, I am coming up for 10,000 days of selling online. Not 10,000 hours, which apparently it takes to master anything if you listen to anybody. I'm coming up for 10,000 days. So I've never really talked about that before. I have sold on the Japanese marketplace before, but I've never really talked about it. It's never really been accessible for the masses, let's say. It's never been accessible for a lot of people for many different reasons. And I'll get into one of them in a second. Singapore, exactly the same situation, right? Saudi Arabia, right? Brazil, okay? These are platforms, these are countries that Amazon sells in, right? This is where there is a third party sales in these countries, okay? We've just never really been able to access them up until now, which is, in my opinion, extremely exciting, right? Imagine being able to double your audience with exactly the same product. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to sell out of your stock twice as fast. It's just that simple. It's mathematics. Okay, that's why we're talking about it. That is why we're bringing it up. So that brings us, we're back around nicely into reordering. Okay, so the first thing that we really need to calculate after we know our lead time, right? So after we have calculated our lead time, is what I'm going, and everybody here, private label people, is going to start referring to as your refill velocity. Okay, your refill velocity. So you're going to hear RV talked about. And really what we're calculating is in terms of refill, right, or replenish, reorder, all of those things. That's where that word is coming from. And the velocity here is talking about the speed, okay? So the speed of sale, and therefore not just the speed of sale, but the speed of topping up that stock in order for those sales to continue, okay? Because we don't want to run out of stock that impacts the algorithm negatively for us. So you're going to hear us talking about refill velocity. And what we want to be able to calculate together is on every single one of your products, what is the refill velocity, right? Because when we know that, when we know the refill velocity of each and every one of your products in each and every one of your countries, okay, it means that you're going to know when to order, right? Because when your stock, right, up here, so you've ordered your stock, when your stock comes down and hits that refill velocity number, as in the level of that refill velocity, that is the trigger for you to reorder. And the quantity trigger is a minimum of the refill velocity, right? So in other words, If you have a refill velocity of 90, right, that means that you must order 90 today in order for that item to stay in stock while your original 90 that you've got in stock keeps selling. And at a point where that would go to zero, you would now have 90 more. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? If that makes sense, give me an RV inside the chat. Right? Now, you might have questions about that. Right? If you have a question about anything to do with research velocity, just ask, right? Because this is a brand new term, right? It makes a hell of a lot of sense that we're talking about it. It makes a hell of a lot of sense that it's given a new term because there's new elements, there is new marketplaces, there is an improved strategy as to how we're doing this. Therefore, it's being given a new name, right? Because it's brand new, right? So RV, refill velocity. Okay, so Sue's got RV, Joanne's got RV, Dan has got RV, right? Maybe other people are just asking a question, so they're maybe typing in a little bit more. That's great. But I do just want to know, right? So Ricardo says, taking into account the number of units in a warehouse and the unsold items at Amazon. Okay, so traditionally, yes, right? Whenever you see the new methodology, yes. All right. And we're going to make sure that both of those elements, so what I would like to call it stock on hand. Okay. It's an older term, the stock that you have on hand. So we're taking that into consideration. But as new products or new orders are being produced, so you're producing your new units, this number that you got in stock is coming down. It's coming down every single day or every single week. So when that reaches zero or just in time stock, we've got this produced and now we're in stock again. All right. Now, just in time stock, we're not going to leave it to the day, right? We're not going to leave it to the day. We do want to have some sort of buffer, and we also want to have some allowance for the product in terms of is its refill velocity on an upward trend, or is it on a downward trend, or is it at a level, right? Because if it's on an upward trend, then we don't want to order exactly the same units because then we won't be able to continue the upward trend, right? We wouldn't have enough, okay? If it's on a downward trend, ordering what we've sold in the past may lead us to an overstock. If we're at a level point, which generally happens later in a product's life, we get to see where the actual demand is, the actual quantities, then it becomes relatively boring, right? Because we're just ordering the same every single time. That's not a bad place to be in. It's just a place to be in. But especially if we've got an upward trend, we've got to know whether that 90 is a green 90, right? Is it going up? In which case we've got to allow for it, all right? So this is where refill velocity helps in so many different areas, right? It helps you not to run out of stock. It helps you not to overstock. It helps you to allow for a buffer of units to be able to continue your trend, okay? These are all very, very important. And the big sort of piece that you get from this is if you're not overstocking and you're not understocking, then you are maximizing your revenue and therefore you're maximizing your profitability because you don't have too much units of one item in the one place as well, right? So therefore your investable capital is going into items and products that are going to sell in a much shorter window, right? That's the other element of investability. Yes, percentages are great, but time is also a thing, right? And if time is also adding into an expense, we want to remove that, okay? So it's vitally important that whenever we're working out your refill velocity on the products, we need your files, okay? Because we're going to help you with this refill velocity, and you're going to be able to see this, right? You're going to be able to see it we're going to be able to see it. Okay, and don't be surprised. Right now, I want you guys working on this as well. I want you guys checking on your refill velocities whenever we get them produced, and they're inside one of your reports. I want you looking at it, and I want to see where your stock is. Okay. Now you've already been working on your stock assets. Okay. Vitally important that you do that, because then we're able to see the stock. Okay. But then don't be surprised if we reach out to you and say, hey, Ricardo, hey, Dana, hey, Joanne, hey, Sue, it looks like you could do with a reorder of this product. Okay. Because we don't want you to run out either. Okay. Why would we sit by idly and allow you to run out of a product, right? Because then you're going to come on and say, oh, my product's run out, I'm missing out on all these sales. We don't want that, right? We want you to be able to have enough stock, not too much stock, be able to sell it in multiple different areas so that it is selling fast on a global scale. You're realizing the value, right, the revenue of your stock, and therefore realizing the gross profits. Okay, and while you go to war on your expenses, you're going to realize more net profits. And absolutely, Patrick, I just asked her, will you provide a cheat sheet for calculating the refill velocity? Absolutely. I will detail that out. I will provide you with all of our formulas as to how it works. You won't have to calculate it because it will be automatically calculated, but you will know how to calculate it, or should I say, you will know how it is calculated. Okay, so it's not like a surprise. It's not hidden. Um, there's no credit card terminal in front of you knowing what those things are. But also, as we know, we feel that's the best way of doing things. It's like we will educate you on how it's done, but we also do it for you so that it is done, right? And it's not that we don't trust you to do it and make sure that it's done. We just like being totally sure that it is done. And the same thing goes for the reaching out about reorders, right? That's the whole reason for us reaching out about the reorder. I'm sure that you would do it, right? Maybe you're busy, right? Maybe you miscalculated, right? Maybe something else crops up. Maybe you're away on holiday. All of these different things can crop up. If you've got another set of eyes on the product and on the reorder, it's always going to be better. Okay. So I also want you to go through the reorder uh, documentation that we did. Right, we're going to update that, and we're gonna send that out. I'm presuming as well that everybody here is inside accountability series that we've been doing. But what we will do is we'll get that sheet redone with all the updates for you, and we'll make that available inside Circle pretty much within inside the next couple of days, so that everybody can go back down. But I want you really focusing on this new concept of refill velocity and getting just really well educated on it, asking questions about it, and then engaging about the refill velocity and how it's going to work. It's going to be one of a couple of little variable changes that we have and we're going to implement as well, because this is brand new. So you're going to see a couple of these things coming through. Don't be afraid of them. Embrace them. Lean into them. Ask the questions. Right. Remember, there is no silly questions. As in, you can ask any question. No question is silly. We don't regard a question as silly. I don't even care if somebody says, "How do you spell RV?" Right. I don't mind that. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to sneeze there. Um, that to me is not even a silly question, right? There is no silly questions whatsoever. And yes, Ricardo, thank you so much for pointing that out. 10,000 days is indeed 27 years. Um, yeah, that makes me That makes me feel wonderful, Ricardo. It makes me feel extremely old, for sure. Thank you very much, Joanne, for saying last week for Steve. And it's kind of with that that you're going to see more and more about that this 10,000 days thing coming through as we progress. But for today, guys, the biggest thing that I can ask you to do is make sure we get our files, right? Make sure we get our files. If you're brand new to it and you're launching your first product or you're doing it for the first time, reach out to us, right? We can jump on a call with you to get it sorted out. We can send you an email. We can give you directions. We can direct you to a video if that's what required. Files are important, right? Reporting is important. If you're seeing some errors inside your Opus, if you're seeing some errors inside your Pulse reports, if you're seeing errors inside your profit and loss reports, make sure and go down through all the reporting and make sure you've got all the reports. Make sure that they're functioning, right? Because there's some things that we've got to do, right? There's some things that we've got to do when you start putting information into it, right? Bring these to our attention. Nobody is going to be mad, right? It's like Ricardo, who's here today, brought up something to me the other day. There was a little bit of an error. I was able to go in and get it fixed, right? These things will happen, right? These things will happen. We want to know what's happening so that you get the best information that's sitting there in front of you. If you don't understand a report, or you don't know why it's doing something, or you don't know what the data is, the best way is go into the all reporting material, make sure that you are 100% up to date with it. And if you still don't understand something, ask a question, right? Ask a question. Robert solved in 5 seconds. I'm not sure. What was that, Ricardo? Sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, your thing. Yeah, yeah. Because sometimes it's very, very simple, but we won't be able to catch the number of reports that we have to do. You've got to bring it up to us, which Ricardo did. I know Patrick brought up some things. Sue's brought up some stuff to me as well. So a lot of people have brought up different things, and we will amend them. We will fix them, and then we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So, guys, for me today, I want to keep that short and sweet. I want us to make sure that our files are done. And if they're not done yet, you can go and get those done today. Stay up to date on the accountability, right? Make sure to attend the 14th of January stream, and let's start the conversation off around RV, refill velocity, because that is going to assist us greatly in when we should be reordering, what we should be reordering, and what country we should be reordering for, and where we should be selling. Okay, things are looking very, very good for 2024. We've started with an absolute bang, right, in so many different areas. It's going to be great. Stay in tune for sure over the next 4 to 5 weeks when we're coming into Chinese New Year. Let's build out those things, because we're not reordering. We're not ordering new products, but let's make sure as soon as that ends, we are coming jacking a box straight out. If we are adding a product into our portfolio in Q1 of this year, make sure, let's get on, let's book a call. Make sure that as soon as these factories open up again, if we need to get a reorder done, that you're jumping on the phone with us and you're getting that reorder placed. Okay? Make sure that these things are done. And that is it for me for today, guys. I will see you all very, very soon. Keep an eye on Circle. Keep an eye on your instant messages. Make sure to keep asking us questions. Keep an eye on your email. And that's it for me, guys. See you soon.